about a year ago, 18 months ago. I didn't start writing it in any particular time. I write songs all the time, and I just gathered up the songs that I had, and we just went in the studio and recorded some music. When I go in the studio, my songs are already written. So I don't go in the studio and write new material in the studio. I've never done that. There's 2 songs on the record that are old Oasis songs that we recorded for different albums but never finished, and so I re-recorded them for this record. One is called Stop the Clocks, which is the last track on the album, and one is called I Want to Live in a Dream in My Record Machine, and that's track 5. Well, there's lots of minor chords which suggest melancholy. Why? I don't know. It's like, why is... I don't know. I don't know a great deal about what I've written. I just write it, you know. I don't... Maybe I was feeling sad. Maybe it's because I'm Irish. I've got Irish blood in me. The Irish write great, uplifting music, but really when you read the words, they're quite sad. I totally accept what you're saying, and I understand it, and it's something I thought as well. It's a very melancholic album, but I don't know why that is. Me personally, I love the sound of those records. I love the sound of the Kinks records and the Beatles records and the Stones and the Who records. Mainly it's those 3 or 4. They're just all the reference points for me. That's just how I learned to write. When I first started to play the guitar, how I learned to write music was by listening to the Beatles and the Stones and the Kinks and the Who, you know. So that's all I know really in terms of songwriting. And as for why we always hark back to the 60s and why is it so special? I guess because it was all about youth and fashion and peace and love and drugs, and it was the first time it had ever happened. You know, it was the birth of rock and roll. And all those great bands and artists like Elvis and Buddy Holly and the Beatles and the Stones and you know, the Doors and Bob Dylan, they were just writing this great form of music for the first time. And like the first time is always the best time. It's like the first time you take drugs is the first time you have sex is the best time. You know what I mean? So it was just great. What can you say? The songs are great, the sound's great, the clothes were great, everybody looked great. Oh, well, you know, I don't want to really go into it. I mean, it's on the internet for everybody to see, but, you know, it just got to a point where there was no point anymore. I do really regret not doing that show. It was bad of me to leave and leave so many people waiting. If I had my time again, I would go and do the gig. In another life, we maybe needn't have had to have split up, do you know what I mean? We could have just gone our separate ways and let off a bit of steam, and, you know, we could still be a band. But, you know, you react the way that you do in extreme circumstances, and there was shit going on that was just extreme, and when it ends in violence, I'm out of here. Well, there's a lot been said since the end of Oasis that's going to be very difficult to take back. So I don't think it's going to happen this year. Never Mind the Bollocks by the Sex Pistols, the greatest album of all time. Number 2, the Beatles' Blue Album, 1967 to 1970. Number 3, I gotta go for the best 40 Licks by the Rolling Stones, because it's got all the best songs on. Number 4, the Lars debut album, well, only album, Lazy Fucker by the Lars. And number 5, Definitely Maybe by Oasis. Don't need any more musical than that. They're the top 5. But I will say Legend by Bob Marley is amazing. The Ultimate Collection by The Who, the Stone Roses, and the best of Bob Dylan. So,